Hello there, this is Investors Cafe and I'm Santayo Tamrat with this edition. ETV Investors Cafe offers a vital information about the Ethiopian investment climate, and it is also a sound platform for global investors eyeing Ethiopia's investment sector and for those investors who are already engaged in their investment projects here in Ethiopia to voice their concerns about their investment businesses and issues related with investment climate, investment sector, and opportunities, challenges they face, and so on. Thank you so much for joining me, and today I'm to bring you the Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics, which is the country's biggest and also oldest company led by the government of Ethiopia. And my guest today is Captain Wandesan Kasa, who is Deputy CEO here at the Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics. Thank you again for joining me. A very warm welcome to you, Captain Wandesan.
Thank you, Sandayu. Really appreciate for giving us this opportunity.
So today we are going to deal with the sweeping reform that has been undertaken here at the Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics, and also what are just the takeaways for the global investors or any investor who are just eyeing Ethiopia's investment sector, and also the challenges it faced and how you resolved it. So my first point would be on the major reforms undertaken. So would you just tell us the major reforms that has been undertaken here at the Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics Service?
Thank you. And the company has been operational for the past 59 years. And it has passed through a lot of ups and downs, challenges, and good times as well. Recently, the past few years, especially the past 5 years, I can say, we have been embarking on a lot of changes or reforms. And the key factors for that are mainly the ever-changing environment in the international shipping, the challenges and opportunities that we have in the market, identifying our main weaknesses and strengths so that we can work on those weak points to improve our service, our efficiency. But mainly, the main factor will be the national logistics strategy of the Ethiopian government, where we can play a big part in embarking on all major changes that have been sought of, so that we have a big role in achieving that. So in the past few years, when you consider these factors, we have gone through some changes. One of the key changes, normally there was a motto that this company we used to solely import cargos to the country, but we said, well, that is one thing we are responsible for. We are the reason why we have been standing so far, but we need to think outside the box and then look for other markets, particularly other neighboring countries, regional market shares. Basically, we call it cross-trade. So we engage mainly on those ones, and we were able to achieve foreign exchanges more than $30 million per year, which was really a big achievement for us. The other achievement that we did was we start to see our customers differently. Before, our customer used to come to our office for their service, but now time has changed, so we need to really go and meet them, talk to them, identify for what they look for. That is one paradigm shift that we have embarked on, and it has brought us really a lot of improvements on that front as well. And the other issue is we really mainly focus on our operational efficiencies, particularly for our vessels and for our port efficiencies in the discharge port, mainly Djibouti. And that mainly is increasing our efficiency plus and reducing our costs. Before a few years, like 2-3 years ago, there was a saying that our vessels were not profitable, but now that has changed. And this year particularly, more than half of the shipping sector profit comes from our vessels. So this is one of the changes that we have been embarking on.
Well, that's really a very nice point to mention as far as the reform agenda is just raised here at the Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics. So another important point I must mention here is that despite the fact that the shipping and logistics was operating shipping lines and other enterprises, Ethiopia was facing a critical logistics deficit, and that is just quite affecting the country's competitiveness in the region and globally. And why do you think was that?
When we talk about the logistics performance of the country, of the nation, and we have to really see it subjectively and see and measure the actual performance on the ground. When you say there is a huge deficit, I must say we have to check the facts on the ground, honestly speaking. Maybe we have some researches back, a few years back, but what we have seen now it should reflect actually what we have.
Yeah, particularly I'm not just mentioning about after the reform period, but before the reform, for example, importers and exporters were just complaining about the delay of their cargoes and so on. This is just one point, that it is just a huge cause they incur.
I get your point. I mean, when I mention we have to wait on a proper measures, that's what I would like to say about the deficit. But generally, yes, we can say that there was challenging times. Well, our performance index globally shows that we have a lot to improve. And when we talk about those performance indexes, there are many stakeholders to play. That is the most important part. Just because we are shipping and logistics doesn't mean that all the performances rely or depend on us. It starts from the finance and the banking sector. That's one issue. Then there comes the custom and the clearing aspect, the inland transport, the shipping, and then the port performance. These are the major stakeholders to measure our performance index. Overall, yes. Overall, we have low performing index globally. We are hoping and working hard, particularly as a shipping and logistics company, to improve on these ones. Some of the changes that we make to improve this is to coordinate the shipping and the inland transport, including the rail, by the way. So that has really given us a considerable performance improvement, both in port operation and inland transport. Well, globally, many things changes. You know, some of them are under your control, some of them are out of your control. We can mention like a war or pandemic, which we have seen in the past few years, like Corona or the war between Russia and Ukraine, considerably has disrupted the international logistics balance or the norm. That has also affected us drastically. That's a fact. But this is not only for us; it's for all of the globe, the world. And what you measure here is how we deal with it. That is the most important. But some countries were facing big problems. We were not able to import basic commodities, ingredients to the input to the industries, just normal household consumption materials. It was a challenge, but throughout these challenges, even if there was some cost at that time, we managed to import or bring in those items to support the economy. That's one thing. But when things are normal, now the measurement will be different. Instead of being able to bring in the commodity at any time, at any cost, it will be like time, cost, and your delivery quality will be the measures. So now we can see that things have normalized. So whatever judgment is there or measurement is there will be based on the time, the cost, and the delivery that is input in this logistics chain. So yes, there is a lot of things to improve. One of the things we did is we have invested heavily on our dry porters. We have been procuring more trucks. At the moment, we have more than 576 trucks, and we have a plan to increase more. We are investing on our vessels because the vessel capacity is one of the most key part in the logistics, especially in the shipping. We have really strong relationship and partnership with our slot carriers, the big ones. We have been, working with them for many years. We have the good relationship and trust. So we maintain that. Even if the adversity, even if the challenge is there, still we maintain to cooperate and work with them. One thing I can mention here is some of the carriers, our partners, they really demanded to have a payment at front for their logistics service, and for us, it was very difficult to do that. What we do is we have to wait a month or two before after the cargo imported to Ethiopia, and then that buffer, 2 to 3 months buffer, means a lot to the economy. We can use our limited reserves of foreign currency for many purposes, and partly half of the foreign currency is being paid in local currency. That alone means a lot to the economy. So this is the kind of measures that we have taken in some consultation with the concerned government body to support the economy in the past few years, which we believe has really very big impact to the country and the end users of customers.
Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics is the sole locally owned shipping carrier in Africa with a dozen of ships. And how could this be a reality in a country, Ethiopia, which is a landlocked country?
Yeah, that's the question actually. I'm really proud for the policymakers of the country in the past and even now. The key part here is they give special protection in policy to protect the company, and which other countries were not able to do that. They have seen the benefit of having or owning a flag carrier. That benefits which many of the African countries and other third world countries are trying to bring onto their economy, and they cannot achieve it, even if they have tried many times. Some of the benefits are, there is a lot of foreign exchange, a colossal amount, honestly, that is flying out of the economy because of not having your own carrier. You can mention the insurance, marine insurance companies. Most of the, if you can mention the East African countries alone, annually they ship more than $500 million out of their economy for marine insurance, for cargo marine insurance alone. This is not the reality in our country. Our insurance is only for our local insurance companies. We have the ability to use our local currencies for sea freight as well, if the demand is there. Normally it is challenging, but whenever there is a chronic challenge, then we have to weigh and give priority. That's where our help comes in. Basic idea here is we consolidate Ethiopian import, both in bulk and in container. Consolidation means that's where we have the upper hand to bargain with the big carriers. Shipping by nature is monopolistic. It's obvious. You can name few carriers in the world. That's where we are fighting and trying to get a little bit out of for the economy. So when we consolidate, what we do is we have the bargaining power to deal with the freight, less freight costs. You can mention and check with neighboring countries like Kenya, Mombasa, which have a much better port operation, port facilities, and even more volume of export. So whenever you have a good export volume, when you bring a cargo to the country, you can bring it with a lesser price. When you combine that with the best or better port performance, you still even have better freight. But still, landlocked country like Ethiopia, using Djibouti port, even if it is good port, comparing to the neighboring Mombasa, we can say that the efficiency is less, but export volume is also, considering with Kenyan export, is still less. But we get much less freight than Kenyan customers. This is basically the idea of consolidation. We consolidate the whole Ethiopian customers' cargo and bargain with the carriers. That's where we get a less freight from the carriers. Same goes with the bulk. For example, for the bulk, we import fertilizer and coal and other bulk imports to the country. When you import it in a segmented way, you don't have the bargaining power, you don't have the power to use economic scale to reduce the cost of transport and logistics. But we have that chance. We have this whole sum of the country's annual import to the country. We plan it accordingly. Then we have economic of scale to play in that. Let's say we have big vessels coming to the port, like Djibouti, 60,000 sometimes 75,000, which is unusual in the area. That's where we have a less freight cost. We can control the freight cost of the country. That's another fact. So these benefits and many more actually has been well thought of, well seen by the policymakers then and now. So we have this protection, I can say cabotage protection or FOB policy, which plays really a big role to protect this company. Now, differently from the past few years, the company is becoming profitable, apart from playing these big roles, which you cannot measure or say that this is the profit of the company, but still play a big role in the economy. Now, as a commercial entity, we have been now becoming very profitable and efficient. So the main reason is the big support that we are getting from the government. If you lose this, if you try to get it back again, it's very difficult. We have seen it with other countries in the West Africa. Our neighbors like Sudan, they used to have big companies, bigger than us, a few years back. Somehow they cannot manage to hold on, and they lost all their shipping companies. They try to bring it back, and it's really very difficult. So the main reason is, yes, all this 59 years experience, it plays part, of course. Our networks that we have all over the world, the expertise, they all play part. But the major role, I can say, is the policy support that we are getting from the government.
Well, as global investors that Ethiopia as their investment destination need world-class, competitive shipping and logistics services that can catalyze their investment businesses. In this regard, how do you explain the competitiveness or the capabilities of Ethiopian shipping and logistics to accommodate local, regional, and global needs?
Yes, I think I must say we have built the capability to import the Ethiopian seaborne trade, inbound seaborne trade, both conception-wise and project-wise. And some of our capabilities I can mention. If you see our vessels, they are typically designed to load multi-purpose cargoes. Multi-purpose in the sense it can be containerized when the need arises. It can be a project cargo. Project cargo, it can be sugar factory, GERD. Most of the project parties, we are the ones who transported it. And it used to be there is fertilizer factory as well. It's not completed, but Yara and other big projects in the country we used to transport. So that is a reason was we have been positioning ourselves and put such kind of vessels which are able to transport the Ethiopian project cargos. It can be a wind farm as well. If you mention most of the wind farms, we are the one who transported those cargos. Then, no, normally as a shipping company, you don't own all the vessels. That is capital intensive, it's difficult to do. And risk-wise also, we cannot put all the risks in one basket. So we charter other vessels. This is the practice of the shipping industry. So for the coal and other bulk cargoes, fertilizer and wheat and others, we charter third-party vessels to transport our cargo. When you do that, it gives us the capability to plan from the load port until the warehouse of the customers. It can be dry ports, it can be the farmers association, it can be individual factory, whatever they want. We have the ability to plan that. That has reduced the logistics cost of the country. That's the most important part. So this is the capability that we have built through years. We can see it with fertilizer. That is the news. As long as LC is opened, as long as the cargo is ready, we can deliver it on time to the farmers. You can see that with coal. You can see that with the containerized shipment as well. We used to have very big delays or dwell time in load port and in discharge port, Djibouti as well. And once our containers came to the country, they used to keep long time, and that was a hidden cost. We call it demurrage. That was a big cost to the nation, but we tried to manage to reduce all these hidden and avoidable costs as well. So this is a capability that we have built throughout these years. I must say, for the investors, I can say that they have really good partners to work with, especially for logistics and shipping in the country.
Where do you position yourself in satisfying the global investors' needs?
I must say we have really invested both in capacity and the system and the procedures to handle the country's import cargo as a whole from everywhere in the world. The project can be different types, as I was mentioning earlier, and the issue here is we have been satisfying our customers, I can't say that, but there is always a room to improve. You know, no matter what you do, logistics is dynamic, it's changing, and we have to upgrade and adjust our service to the need of the customers. That's what actually we are doing. One challenge, or I must say if it is a challenge after all, is the expectation of some of our foreign investors in the country. When they come to our office here to deal with the logistics of their project, initially they don't believe that there is a company like such company in the country, not only in the country, maybe in the continent. Wherever they have experience other parts of the world, especially the third world, they transport the whole package from the manufacturer to the assembly plant of the destination country, like Ethiopia. So when you mention that, okay, you don't worry about your production and assembly plant and processing, but for the logistics, starting from your delivery point, origin of the country to the warehouse or the site where you want to plant the cargo, I mean the factory, we will take care of that. We will take the burden. That's what we're saying there. And when we do that, they have to really adjust to the reality. We don't have such an experience before anywhere. So we have to convene them and then put them, talk about the details. Details can be timely delivery, it can be cost-wise, comparable costs, whatever they can offer, we can offer. So it takes us some time to really make sure that they are really comfortable, they are really convinced to work with us. After that, it's a matter of time. You know, when the project is completed, they come and say thank you. Well, in this part, when they do their cost analysis or cost build-up, most of them, they put the logistics as part of their, I can say, safe margin, if you call it. So that somehow when they negotiate with their financier or when they negotiate with the consignee, they have some agreement, some kind of agreement based on the Incoterm. So changing that into FOB will be really challenging for some of them. So that is the kind of challenge we have. But apart from that, I can assure you, we are always welcome, ready to deliver and work with our international partners who are interested to invest in Ethiopia.
When we talk about the Ethiopian shipping and logistics, we are talking about the international trade of Ethiopia, as well as the manufacturing and export businesses, one way or another. So these all areas of business depend on the efficiency of shipping and logistics, as I mentioned earlier. And so how do you explain the efficiency of the multimodal transport system and the infrastructure for that multimodal transport system?
Yes, one thing we can mention as a proud success is our multimodal operation. With the amalgamation of the four companies, ESL, Maritime Transit, and Dry Ports, we came to implement this multimodal operation back in 2004. Where initially, it was a chaos, of course. You know, when you bring a new idea, a new way of doing things, it will be a challenge. Yeah. But now it's really a success story for the nation. We used to have a long dwell time at Djibouti for containers to clear up. It can take sometimes a month and even more than that. Some containers are still idle there. But after we start to use multimodal operation, the idea is we have to integrate both the shipping side, the port clearance, and the inland transport. The destination can be dry port, it can be a bonded warehouse, or it can be special project site. The cargo can be container, it can be ro-ro, or any kind of project site. Depends on the need of the customers. So we can handle all this in one centralized window. That is the most important part. So before, the dwell time that we used to have at Djibouti, now is 5.6 at the moment. But before that was many, many days. We used to pay a lot of demurrage. Demurrage normally is what you pay after there is a grace period of 8 days. If the container stays more than that, you have to pay demurrage. That means for wasting the equipment, not by putting it idle for more than 8 days, you have to pay some amount of money. With us, well, normally the demurrage is very small. But if the container came directly with the negotiation with the carrier, it can be around $45 or $50. That's what we see at Djibouti, cargoes coming with any model. So the performance of the multimodal, we have a lot of key performance indicators. One indicator is the dwell time at Djibouti, 5.6. Well, we can make it one day. We work hard. We can do that. Cargo it can come to Djibouti straight. It can come to Ethiopia. That is the target. But still, 5 points is an achievement. That's one thing. Another thing is this hidden costs that we mentioned. You don't see it initially on the agreement, initially on the freight offer. You don't see on the quotation. You don't see that. But later, it comes as a cost, mainly as demurrage and detention. It's a huge cost that we have been losing as a nation. We have been able to do and avoid all those costs. Well, if one big part that I have to mention is the railway. The railway before it was not efficiently used. Well, now also you can find out and check how the performance is. But when you mention the containerized cargo, now we are lifting 60% of our multimodal containers with rails. So the rail is also playing a big part, both for containers and bulk cargos as well.
That's a very nice point, but what about the integration and harmonization and the ease of services like freight, customs, and so on?
Initially, when I mentioned about the performance of logistics performance of the country, we were mentioning there are many stakeholders to it, and one of them is the financing part, the banking. The other is custom and clearance, which plays a big part, and logistics part, inland transport, and the shipping. These are the main parts. Well, there is a lot of improvement, honestly, but I believe we can still work on that one. When you talk about integration, we believe we can finish every document in one single paper, both for custom, for us. That's what multimodal is bringing to the system.
We may have just the infrastructure, we may have just the latest cargo, railway, shipping lines, and so on. But how about the human capacity to undertake all these jobs?
Absolutely, that is the key part actually. Nowadays, digitalization is helping us a lot in solving and handling most of our operations. Shipping is somehow in logistics. It's a little peculiar, and it needs well-trained, specialized human capital. So we are, of course, investing on that. We are training our guys. We are trying to enhance the capacity of our employees, but still we need to work hard on that. That is for sure. The most important part is the experience that we have. I mentioned 59 years experience. It helps us a lot in carrying the goals, targets of the company and the government as well. But it's always dynamic and changing. We have to learning cannot stop. Investing on human capital cannot stop.
Finally, your message to both local and global investors eyeing to invest in Ethiopia and make their investment businesses competitive globally. What's your message for that regarding the capabilities that you have?
My message to both local and international foreign investors and those who are planning even to come and invest in Ethiopia is that ESL, Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics, is a trustable and dependable partner. We have many services all over the world, more than 345 ports in the world. We have good networks of shipping. We have a very good capability of handling your cargo both at sea and in port and inland as well. So I must say that you have a really good, trustable and dependable and reliable partner in Ethiopia. Come and invest and let's work together.
Thank you so much, Captain Mendesan Kasa, for explaining about the competitiveness of the Ethiopian shipping and logistics, and also the reforms it has undertaken so far to extricate itself from the challenges and become a globally competitive company. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate that.
This is ETV Investors Cafe, and I'm Santayo Tamrat with this edition. With this edition, I brought you the sweeping reforms undertaken in the Ethiopian shipping and logistics, and also the takeaways for the global and local investors, and also the challenges it faced and how it resolved those challenges. Thank you so much for joining me, and I brought you to talk on all these issues. Captain Wondesan Kasa, who is Deputy CEO at Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics. Thank you so much again.